It's Devil's Night, so here we go. The Crow. Now, The Crow is what many consider a classic, even though it isn't really a Halloween movie. The film was directed by Alex Proyas and it stars the one and only Brandon Lee. The Crow tells the story of Eric Draven, who is a rock musician played by Brandon Lee. On October 30th, aka Devil's Night, he and his fiancée get a visit from a group of horrible asshole piece of shit people. They beat the shit out of him, murder him and throw him out of the window, and then they proceed to beat and rape his fiancée to death. Just fuck these guys. Seriously, fuck these guys. However, as the legend goes, a crow actually brings Eric back to life to right the wrongs. Yes, because the circumstances of his death were so tragic and so horrible that he's back to right the wrongs. And now we have a revenge movie that is absolutely fantastic. Seriously, this movie is so unique and so original, and me describing it really doesn't do it justice, because this movie has such a unique atmosphere. Seriously. The tone of the film, clearly goth. There is not a single shot during the daylight. And it's raining constantly. This movie is soaked not only in darkness, but also in rain. And Brandon Lee in this role, he is absolutely fantastic as the Crow, aka Eric Draven. The moment he comes back, you're like, oh shit. He's an intense guy. He also has some quirky and crazy elements to him, but it's awesome. Seriously, I think that Heath Ledger's Joker actually always reminded me a little bit of The Crow. But you can tell that he is all about justice, and he is still a sweet guy underneath this psychopathic vengeance, because he is. He actually befriends the little girl that used to be friends with him when he was still alive. And also Ernie Hudson, aka Winston from Ghostbusters. I love his character in the movie too. He's this lone gunman. He's a noble cop in a shitty city. Seriously, this city, I don't even know what city this is supposed to be, but Sin City itself looks like a kindergarten compared to this. Seriously, it looks like hell. Everything's dark, everything's shitty, it's constantly raining, the people are full of shit and violent rapist assholes paid by even worse people. Seriously, that guy who looks like an anime villain, yeah, he's intense. You wouldn't want to fuck with this guy unless you're the Crow, because then you're immortal. The action sequences are handled very well. The cinematography in this movie is unparalleled. Seriously, I can't think of another movie that is shot in the way that The Crow was shot. And yes, a lot of people are like, oh no, I'm not watching The Crow. I saw the TV show, I didn't like it. I saw part 2 or 3. Just to let you know, there is only The Crow. Only The Crow with Brandon Lee. Fuck the sequels, fuck the TV show, they never happened, they're horrible, and they don't even deserve to call themselves The Crow. I'm telling you, the original Crow, so iconic, like the very first meeting between the cop and Eric Draven after he comes back from the dead, the way he takes out those assholes that pretty much screwed his life over and killed the love of his life. Normally you look at your revenge movies and it's like, yeah, something horrible happens at the beginning and you're like, okay, this is the motivation and now we're getting some sweet ass action. But this movie actually carries the theme of tragedy throughout the entire film. Seriously, there's not this one point where you forget about the horrible, horrible night. The tragedy is handled very well and it adds so much more depth to the character of Eric Draven. And now I have to talk about the elephant in the room, because Brandon Lee actually died on set. There was an accident involving one of the pistols and he literally got shot during the making of this movie. And it's a tragedy, it's horrible, it's sad, especially when you look at this amazing performance that shaped popular culture, and rightly so. So to sum it all up, The Crow combines elements of a revenge flick, a graphic novel, a film noir, and an overall tragedy. And it does justice to all these genres. It's a goth fest that also non-gothic people can enjoy, like myself. If I can think of a couple weaknesses, it's the dialogue at times is a little bit weird, where you're like, okay, people don't really talk like that. And some of the villains, you're like, yeah, you hate their guts. I mean, they're the biggest piece of shit people on earth. But you're like, you're generic. But the positives outweigh the teeny tiny negatives so much that I have to say that The Crow actually gets the gold medal. It's an amazing flick that just has that fall vibe to it, and if you haven't seen it yet, watch it. If you're a fan of revenge movies, this will be your holy grail. So this was my The Crow review, and coming up next is the promised crossover between Sci-Fi Night and Joseph Ari. And as always, thank you guys for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.